The river was silent in the early morning. Only the sound of water moving slowly between the stones. A mist floated above it, hiding shapes and making the world feel like a dream. A man named Daniel walked by the riverbank, his boots pressing the wet earth. He liked to walk here when the village was still asleep. It gave him peace, it gave him time to think. But this morning felt different. The air was heavy, and the birds were not singing. Daniel stopped when he heard something. It was faint, soft, and almost hidden in the sound of the water. At first, he thought it was just the wind, or maybe a lost animal, but then he heard it again. A cry, weak and full of pain. Daniel followed the sound. His steps quickened as the cry grew clearer. When he reached the bend of the river, he froze. There, floating on the water, was a small basket, and inside it was a baby. The cloth wrapped around the baby glowed faintly. Like it was not of this earth, he ran into the shallow water, lifted the basket with both hands, and looked down. The child was tiny, with skin that shimmered faint blue under the morning light. Its eyes opened for a moment, large and glowing softly, not like human eyes. Daniel's breath caught in his chest. He realized this was not a human baby. This was something else, something from beyond the stars. Daniel looked around, expecting to see someone searching. But the river was empty. The forest was silent. The baby gave another weak cry. Daniel felt his heart twist. He knew he should report it. He knew keeping it might bring danger. But how could he leave the baby to die here? Alone in the cold river, he carried the basket to the bank. The cloth felt strange in his hands. Warm like it was alive, symbols ran across it, glowing faintly and then fading as if they were breathing. Daniel had never seen anything like this. He wrapped the baby tighter, feeling its small chest rise and fall with shallow breaths. His mind filled with questions. Who put the baby here? Why would anyone abandon a child? Was it a trap? Was something watching him even now? He scanned the trees again, but nothing moved. Daniel stood there for a long moment. The mist around him, the river whispering behind him. He knew he had to make a choice. If he left the baby, it would die if he took the baby. He might be putting his own life in danger. He looked into those glowing eyes again. So innocent, so helpless, and he made his choice. "I'll take you home," he whispered, though he did not know if the child could understand. The baby blinked slowly as if it did, and then closed its eyes again. Daniel pulled his coat tighter around them both and began to walk back to the village. His heart beat fast, not from fear, but from something else. A strange connection he could not explain. As he walked, he felt the air shift. The forest seemed to watch him. Shadows moved. A sound echoed far behind him, something heavy splashing into the river. He didn't turn back, he just held the baby closer. He didn't know it yet, but this was the beginning of something far greater than he could imagine. The secret decision. Daniel closed the door of his small wooden house with his shoulder. Balancing the strange glowing basket in his arms, the morning sun had climbed higher. But his heart still raced as if the forest eyes were following him, even here. He placed the basket gently on the table, staring at the child inside. The baby was quiet now, breathing softly. The blue shimmer on its skin faded whenever it slept, and then returned when it moved. Daniel touched the cloth again, feeling the strange warmth. It almost pulsed like a heartbeat. He pulled his hand back quickly. Afraid but curious, his mind spun with choices. He knew he should walk straight to the mayor's house, report what he found, and let the village decide. That was the safe path. That was the right path. But something inside him refused. He remembered the way the baby looked at him, glowing eyes filled with trust. How could he hand the child over to people who might fear it, hate it, or worse? Daniel paced across the room. His old clock ticked slowly, every sound making the silence heavier. He poured himself water, but his hands shook so much that half spilled on the floor. He knew this was not just a child. He had found something that would bring trouble. Not only to him, but maybe to everyone. Still, the thought of leaving it outside, of letting it die in that river, burned in his chest like fire. At noon, a knock came at his door, sharp and sudden. Daniel froze. He thought maybe the village guard had already seen him at the river. His heart thudded like a hammer. He quickly threw a cloth over the glowing basket and went to the door. It was only his neighbor, an old man who asked for tools. Daniel forced a smile, gave what was needed, and closed the door quickly. His breath escaped in relief. When he turned back, the baby was awake. Its tiny hands reached for him, making a faint humming sound. Daniel felt his chest tighten. He picked it up carefully. Surprised at how light it was, the humming grew louder. And for a moment, the room filled with a soft glow, like moonlight. He stood frozen, afraid someone outside might see through the windows. He whispered, "Quiet, little one, please," and the glow slowly faded. That night, Daniel could not sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the river, the mist, and the glowing symbols. He dreamed of shadows in the trees, voices speaking in a language he could not understand. He woke in sweat, gripping the baby close. The child slept peacefully against his chest, as if it belonged there. By morning, he had made his choice. He would keep the child. He would protect it. He told himself it was only until he found out the truth, until he discovered who it belonged to. But deep inside, he already knew the truth. The baby was his responsibility now. Daniel reinforced his door, covered the windows with thick cloth, and hid the glowing basket under the bed. He prepared extra food, water, and wood, as if he expected danger to arrive at any moment. His hands shook as he worked, but his eyes were steady. His decision was final. Outside, the village lived as normal. Children played. Traders shouted at the market. Smoke rose from chimneys. No one knew what Daniel was hiding inside his small home. No one knew that an alien child, glowing softly in his arms, had already changed the course of his life. But Daniel could not shake the feeling that eyes were still on him, watching from the forest, waiting for the right time to come. Asterisk. The first visitor of the night was silent, but Daniel could not rest. The baby slept peacefully in its basket, glowing faintly, yet his own eyes stayed open, watching the door, the windows, the shadows. He felt that something was moving closer, drawn by the child's strange light. Near midnight, a sound echoed outside. Not the usual sound of wind or animal. It was heavy, deliberate, like someone walking slowly on the dirt path. Daniel's breath caught. He stood up, took a wooden stick from the corner, and moved quietly to the door. His heart hammered against his chest. Then came the knock, slow and firm, 3 times. Daniel froze. He had told no one. He had hidden the baby as best as he could. Who would come at this hour? He whispered to himself. Stay quiet. Though the baby was asleep, he hesitated, then placed his hand on the door and opened it just a crack. What he saw made him step back. On his porch stood a tall figure. A woman, but not human. Her skin was silver gray, shining under the moonlight. Her eyes glowed like 2 burning coals. She wore armor that looked alive, shifting with faint blue lines. She stared at him with an intensity that froze his breath. "I seek the child," she said, her voice low but sharp. Daniel's hand tightened on the stick. "What child?" he asked carefully. His voice cracked. The woman's eyes narrowed. "The river child," she whispered. "The one wrapped in the cloth of my people." Daniel's thoughts raced. She knew she must have followed. His chest grew tight. "Who are you?" he asked. She stepped closer, the wooden porch creaking under her weight. "I am Kara, guardian of the royal line," she answered. "That child belongs to my people. It is the heir we lost. Daniel swallowed hard. Her words struck him with both fear and confusion. Royal heir, a lost child. It sounded important, too important. He thought of the baby's glowing skin, the strange symbols, and it began to make sense. But still, a part of him resisted. He had found the baby, he had cared for it. Could he just hand it over now? Kara stretched her hand out. Not aggressive, but demanding. Give me the child, human. It is not safe with you. Hunters come, they will burn your home. They will kill you for hiding it. Her words were heavy, filled with warning. Daniel looked past her into the shadows and thought he saw movement. He shivered, but then he remembered the look in the baby's eyes. He remembered the warmth of its small hand on his chest. He stepped back, shaking his head. I can't. Not until I know the truth, he whispered. Kara's eyes flared, her armor glowing brighter. Do not test me, she warned, her voice deeper now. This is larger than you understand. Before Daniel could reply, a faint cry came from inside the house. The baby had woken. Kara's head snapped toward the sound, and for the first time, Daniel saw something else in her eyes, something softer, almost like longing. She whispered in her own tongue, the baby's name, and the glow in the basket answered. Daniel felt torn. He could see she cared. But he could also feel danger around her. Was she truly a guardian, or was there another reason she wanted the child? The night grew colder, the silence thicker, and Daniel realized this was only the beginning. The first visitor had arrived, but she would not be the last. The second woman the night had barely ended when Daniel heard another sound at his door. He had not slept, not after Kara's visit. Her warning still echoed in his mind. Her glowing eyes, her demand for the baby. Everything felt too heavy, too fast, and now another knock came. Softer this time, almost trembling. Daniel gripped the wooden stick again, his body tense. His eyes moved toward the basket where the baby slept. Glowing faintly, as if aware of the danger outside, he whispered to the child, "Stay quiet, little one," and then stepped toward the door. When he opened it, his breath caught. Another figure stood there, a woman too, but completely different from Kara. Her skin was pale gold, her eyes deep and shining like water. She wore no armor, only a torn cloak, wet from dew. Her face carried no anger, only exhaustion and sorrow. "Please," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I've come for my child." Daniel stared at her, his mind spinning. Two women, both claiming the same baby. Both so different, one strong and sharp, one fragile and gentle. He stepped back slowly, gripping the stick tighter. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice low. The woman lowered her hood, revealing long silver hair, tangled and dirty. Her cheeks were wet with tears. "I am Liara," she said softly. "I am the mother of that child. I carried it in my womb. I gave it life." She pressed a hand to her chest, as if swearing her truth. Daniel's heart twisted, the way she spoke. The way her voice cracked, it felt real. He remembered Kara's cold warning, the talk of royal heirs and hunters. Yet here was a woman speaking not of politics, but of love. Her eyes were fixed on the basket as though nothing else mattered. He hesitated. "Another came before you," he said carefully. She claimed the child too, said it was royal. Said hunters would come. Lyra's eyes widened with fear. "Kara," she whispered, almost spitting the name. "She is no guardian. She is a soldier of the warlords. They want the child for power. They will twist its gift into a weapon. That is why I ran. That is why I placed my baby in the river, hoping someone kind would find it before they did." Her words struck him like lightning. The truth, Thor, was it another lie? Daniel felt his chest tighten. He looked at the baby again. Still sleeping, glowing faintly, innocent of the storm that circled around it. Liara stepped closer, but not with force. She fell to her knees on his porch. Her hands clasped together. "Please, human, do not give my child to her kind. Protect it. Or let me hold it just once." Her voice broke into sobs. Her body shaking, Daniel felt his grip on the stick weaken. His eyes burned with confusion. Who was telling the truth? Kara the soldier, or Liara the mother? He thought of the choice he had made yesterday. The decision to protect the baby, now it grew heavier. The child was no longer just his secret tick, was a prize in a struggle he barely understood. He bent down, meeting Liara's eyes. Searching for lies, searching for truth. She looked back at him with raw desperation. "If you hand the child to them, it will never know peace. It will grow only as a weapon. But with me, it will live as a child. My child." The silence around them grew thick. Daniel's heart pounded. The baby stirred, making a soft hum that filled the room with a silver glow. Liara reached out, but stopped, waiting, not daring to touch without his permission. Daniel realized then that whatever choice he made would change everything. The two women wanted the same child, but their reasons were worlds apart. And deep inside, he feared both could be true. The clash of truths. The morning sun had barely risen when Daniel felt the air grow tense. He had let Liara rest by the fire, her eyes never leaving the basket, but his heart was restless. He knew Kara would return, and when she did, the fragile piece of his home would break. It happened sooner than he feared. A sharp knock rattled the door, and before Daniel could answer, the door pushed open with force. Kara stepped inside, her armor glowing faintly, her eyes burning with anger. She froze when she saw Liara, and Lyra's face turned pale as ash. "You," Kara spat, her voice sharp like steel. The coward mother who abandoned her own blood. Liara stood, trembling but fierce. "I saved my child from you, Kara. You and your warlords would have chained it, turned it into nothing but a weapon." Daniel's eyes darted between them. His chest tightened. He had expected tension, but the hatred in their voices was deeper than he imagined. Kara stepped closer, her armor humming. "You think you saved it? You think hiding it in a river was mercy? You left it to drown. You left it to strangers. That is not a mother's love. That is betrayal." Lyra's eyes filled with tears, but her voice did not break. "Better the river's cold embrace than your warlord's claws. I had no choice. The child is not safe in your hands. It is not safe in anyone's hands but mine." The baby stirred in the basket. Humming softly, the glow spread across the room. Daniel felt the energy ripple through his chest. The air buzzed with power. Kara and Liara both turned their eyes to the child, their rage mixing with something else, fear. Daniel raised his hand, trying to steady them. "Enough. Tell me the truth, both of you. What is this child? Why do you fight over it?" His voice cracked with desperation. He needed answers. He needed something real. Kara's jaw tightened. She looked at him and then at the child. "It is the heir of a fallen throne," she said, her voice heavy with pride. "Its bloodline carries the power to unite the scattered houses. If the hunters take it, the galaxy will fall into endless war. But in our care, it will rise to lead. That is why I must have it." Liara shook her head violently, stepping closer to the basket. "Do not listen to her. Daniel, the truth is darker. This child carries not only power, but a curse. Its glow is a weapon born from ancient science. Whoever raises it can shape it into savior or destroyer. The warlords see it as a tool. They will never let it grow as a child. They will feed it war until nothing human remains in its heart." Daniel's throat went dry. The words twisted around him, one speaking of royal duty, the other of terrible danger. He stared at the baby, glowing softly as if unaware of the storm around it. He thought of the innocence in its eyes, and he wondered. Could a child so small truly hold such weight? Kara stepped forward. Her voice sharp. Give it to me. Human, you cannot protect it. You cannot even protect yourself. Liara blocked her path, her arms spread wide. He is not alone. And I will die before I let you touch my child again. The air between them crackled. The glow from the baby pulsed brighter, shaking the walls. Daniel covered his eyes for a moment as the light burst outward. When it faded, both women stood still, staring at the child in awe. The baby had risen slightly from the basket, floating in the air, its eyes open, glowing brighter than ever. A soft voice echoed in the room, not from its mouth, but from everywhere at once. Daniel's skin crawled as he realized. The child was speaking, though not in words he understood. Both women fell silent, their rage swallowed by fear and reverence. Daniel stood frozen. He had wanted the truth. But now he wondered if the truth was far more dangerous than he was ready to hear. Asterisk the baby's power, the room glowed like a small sun. Daniel shielded his eyes. Kara stepped back with her armor humming. And Liara covered her mouth in shock. The baby floated above the basket, its tiny hands stretched outward. And the strange hum filled every corner of the house. Daniel's heart pounded. He had never seen anything like this. The child was no longer helpless. Its glow pressed against the walls, rattling the wooden beams. He thought for a moment the whole house might collapse. Yet he could not look away. Kara dropped to one knee. Her voice filled with awe. The air awakens, she whispered. Her tone had changed, less sharp, more reverent. Daniel saw her eyes widen with something close to fear. Liara shook her head, her tears shining in the light. No, this is not awakening. This is the curse breaking free, she cried. It is too soon, too dangerous. Daniel, take the child. Calm it before the power grows. But Daniel could not move. The glow surrounded him, warm yet heavy. Like invisible hands pushing against his chest, he felt the hum in his bones. He felt as if the baby was speaking directly into his heart. 1,000 voices whispered in a language he could not understand, and yet he felt the meaning loneliness. Fear. Hunger for comfort. He stepped forward slowly, ignoring the weight pressing him back. It's all right, little one, he whispered. His voice cracked. You're safe. I'm here. The glow flickered as if responding. The baby's eyes, bright as 2 stars, turned to him. Kara's voice broke through the hum. Do not touch it. Human, you cannot handle the bond. It will burn you alive. Her hand reached for the child, but the glow flared brighter. Throwing her back against the wall with a force that shook the floor, Liara cried out and rushed forward. My child, she whispered, reaching out with trembling hands. But the baby's gaze never left Daniel. It floated gently into his arms. The hum softened, the glow dimmed. And the room slowly returned to shadow. Daniel held the baby close. Its small chest rose and fell against his own. The glow pulsed gently now, like a heartbeat. The voices faded into silence. Daniel realized he was still breathing, still alive, though his skin tingled as if fire had kissed it. Kara rose to her feet, fury and awe mixed in her eyes. Impossible, she whispered. It chose you, a human, not of its blood. Not of its kind. Liara pressed her hand to her chest, tears running freely. The bond, she whispered. It has chosen its protector, and it is not me. Not even its mother. Her words trembled. Yet there was no anger in them, only pain. Daniel shook his head, his hands trembling as he rocked the baby. I don't understand, he whispered. I'm no king, no soldier. I'm just a man. But the baby looked at him with glowing eyes. Calm now, trusting. The hum returned, soft and steady. And Daniel felt it deep inside his soul. A bond had been formed, unbreakable. The silence that followed was heavier than any words. Kara stared at him as if he had stolen destiny itself. Liara stared as if she had lost the only thing she loved. And Daniel stood there, holding a child not of his world, realizing that nothing in his life would ever be simple again. Outside, far in the forest, a howl echoed. Followed by the sound of heavy steps, the hunters had arrived, and now, with the baby's power revealed, there would be no hide and asterisk. The hunters arrived. The howl in the distance grew louder. Daniel froze with the child in his arms. Kara's eyes narrowed, her armor lighting up with sharp blue lines. Lyra's face turned pale. "They have come," she whispered. "The hunters, they will not stop until they take the child." The ground shook as heavy steps drew closer. Branches cracked, the forest seemed to tremble. From the small window, Daniel saw dark shapes moving between the trees. Tall figures with glowing red eyes, their bodies armored like beasts. Kara grabbed her blade from her back, its edge alive with humming energy. "Stay behind me, human," she ordered. Her voice sharp. "They will burn your home. But maybe we can keep the child safe." Liara stepped forward, her hands shaking. "No, if you fight them, they will destroy everything. We must hide. We must run." She looked at Daniel, her eyes wide with fear. "Take the baby, go out the back. I will distract them." Daniel's chest tightened. His mind spun between their words, fight or flee. But before he could decide, the door rattled violently, then shattered with a crash. 3 hunters burst inside, their armored bodies scraping against the walls. Their breath came out as metallic hisses. The baby stirred in Daniel's arms. Glowing faintly, the hunters hissed louder. Their red eyes fixed on the child, one pointed a clawed hand, a strange weapon growing from its wrist. Kara roared and leaped forward. Her blade cutting through the air, sparks flew as metal met metal. Liara screamed and pulled Daniel toward the back door. "Run," she begged. "Now." Before it's too late. Daniel hesitated, his legs frozen. He looked back. Kara fighting like fire against 2 hunters at once, her blade cutting but never stopping their advance. Another hunter lunged toward Daniel, claws outstretched, without thinking. Daniel turned his body to shield the baby. He closed his eyes, but before the claws struck, the child glowed bright. A pulse of silver light exploded outward, throwing the hunter across the room like a broken doll. The walls shook, the roof cracked, dust rained from above. Kara glanced back, her face shocked. "The power," she whispered. "It listens to him." Liara pulled Daniel harder. "This is why they will never stop. Daniel, you must choose. Do we trust the soldier's blade, or do we run into the forest and pray the child hides us with its power?" The house groaned under the weight of battle. Daniel's heart raced. He saw Kara fighting fiercely, blood dripping from her lip. Her eyes burned with determination. Yet he also saw Liora's desperate face, her arms stretched, begging him to follow her. The baby hummed softly against his chest, as if feeling his fear. Daniel realized every choice was dangerous, but standing still would kill them all. He clenched his jaw, tightened his hold on the child, and stepped forward. He shouted, his voice shaking. Enough. The glow from the baby pulsed brighter. The hunters staggered for a moment, their eyes flickering. Kara slashed one down. Liara dragged him toward the open night. The forest waited, dark and endless, behind them. The house cracked louder, fire catching on the broken beams. The hunters hissed and roared, more shadows moving in the trees. Daniel realized this fight was far from over. The hunters had found them, and soon the whole village would know. But as he stepped into the forest, the baby's hum grew stronger, surrounding him with light for the first time. Daniel felt not only fear, but something else, hope, a strange belief that maybe, just maybe, humanity had a role in this war greater than anyone expected. The human's choice. The forest swallowed them as Daniel ran, the baby glowing faintly in his arms. Kara cut down branches with her humming blade to clear the path. Liara stayed close behind, her breath ragged. The hunter's howls echoed through the trees. Shaking the night, Daniel's legs burned. But he did not slow. The child's hum guided him. Soft and steady, every step felt heavier. Not just from the weight in his arms, but from the decision pressing on his chest. 2 women, 2 truths, 1 choice. Kara stopped suddenly, raising her hand. "They circle us," she said, her voice sharp. "They know where we go. We must face them. Better to fight now than die tired." Her armor glowed brighter. Her blade ready, Liara clutched Daniel's arm. Her eyes wide. "No, please, not here. They will slaughter us, Daniel. The child cannot unleash such power again. It will break. It is too small." She pulled him toward a dark hollow between the trees. "We hide, we wait, we survive." Daniel's breath came in gasps. His mind spun. He saw Kara's fire. The strength in her stance. She could fight, maybe even win. But he also saw Liara's trembling face, her tears, her love that seemed so raw and desperate. The hunters appeared like shadows, red eyes glowing in the dark. They moved with the silence of predators surrounding the small clearing. One stepped forward, towering over them, its voice metallic and cruel. "Give us the child," it hissed. "Spare your lives, human. It does not belong to you." Daniel held the baby tighter. His heart raced. He looked at Kara, blade raised, ready to fight to the death. He looked at Liara, her hands clasped, begging him to run. He felt the hum of the baby against his chest, calm yet waiting, as if it too knew the choice he must make. Kara shouted, "Human, trust me, with my blade and the child's power. We can cut through them. Let me lead. I will protect you." Her eyes burned with fierce determination. Liara cried, "No, Daniel. They will use you. She will use you, if you give her the child. You will be nothing but another soldier in her war. Trust me, I am the mother. I only want it safe. Please. Do not let its life be stolen for battles," the hunters hissed. Closing in, their claws scraped against the trees. The circle tightened. The decision could no longer wait. Daniel closed his eyes for a heartbeat. He remembered the river, the mist, the first cry he heard. He remembered the glow in the night when the baby chose him. He realized then the choice was not about Kara or Liara. The choice was about himself. About what kind of protector he would be. He opened his eyes. His voice steady, though fear gripped him. "I will not hand this child to war, nor to lies," he said. His words cut through the clearing. "If you want it. You will go through me." The baby stirred, glowing brighter, as if agreeing. Daniel stepped forward, holding it high. The glow spread across the trees, blinding the hunters. Kara stared in shock. Liara gasped. The child had chosen again. Not soldier, not mother, but human. The hunters roared, charging through the light. Kara raised her blade. Liara cried out, and Daniel, with the baby's glow pulsing in his arms, braced himself for the storm that would decide all of their fates. The new Bantha hunters rushed through the glowing forest, their claws tearing the ground. Kara swung her blade with deadly precision, sparks flying as metal clashed against metal. Liara pulled Daniel back, her cries lost in the chaos. The baby in Daniel's arms glowed brighter with every heartbeat, its hum shaking the air. The light spread outward like a wave, blinding the hunters. Daniel felt the force ripple through him. His arms trembled, his chest burned, yet he held the baby higher. The glow was not only power, it was will. A choice made through trust. One hunter broke through the light. Roaring, Kara met it with her blade. Striking down with fury, another came from the side. Claws raised, Daniel turned his body, shielding the child, but before the strike landed, the baby's hum burst into a sharp cry. The sound was pure and heavy, and the hunter was thrown into the trees like a broken toy. Liara fell to her knees, her hands pressed to her heart. "It is too much," she whispered. "My child cannot carry such power. It will tear itself apart." Tears streamed down her face. Kara snarled, cutting down another hunter. "No, this is destiny. The air is showing its strength. This is the future we have waited for." Her eyes glowed with the reflection of the light. But Daniel heard not triumph, only hunger in her voice. The baby's glow flared brighter, blinding all of them. Daniel felt its tiny fingers clutch his shirt. He closed his eyes, whispering, "It's all right, little one. You're not a weapon. You're not a throne. You're just a child. You're safe with me." The glow softened, no longer burning. Instead, it wrapped around them like warmth. The hunters staggered, their red eyes dimming. They let out distorted cries, then collapsed one by one, their bodies dissolving into the soil as if the earth swallowed them whole. Silence returned, broken only by the sound of the river in the distance. The forest, once filled with roars, now breathed quietly again. Daniel sank to his knees. The baby pressed against his chest. Still glowing faintly but calm, Kara stood, her blade lowered, her eyes furious and yet shaken. "The bond is sealed," she said slowly. "The child has chosen a human of all creatures." "How can this be?" Liara crawled forward, her tears falling on the dirt. She reached out, her hands trembling. But when the baby looked at her, it turned away and buried its face against Daniel's chest. Lyra's shoulders shook, her voice breaking. "It is not fair. I am its mother, and yet it chose you." Daniel's throat tightened. He looked at her, his voice heavy. "Blood is not always the only bond. Sometimes it is choice. Sometimes it is trust." His words were simple, yet they carried the weight of what had just happened. Kara turned away, her armor dimming. "This is not over," she warned. "Others will come, stronger than these hunters. They will not stop until the child is theirs. Protect it, human, for your world may soon bleed for it." With that, she disappeared into the shadows of the forest. Liara stayed, silent and broken, her eyes never leaving the baby. Daniel felt her pain, but he also felt the weight in his own arms. The child had bound itself to him, not by chance but by choice. The hum in his chest told him so. He stood slowly, looking at the path ahead. The baby's glow lit the trees, casting long shadows. His life as a simple man by the river was gone. From now on, he was protector, guardian, maybe even father. The forest whispered around him. And for the first time since the river discovery, Daniel did not feel fear. He felt strength. He felt the bond. And though he did not know what dangers tomorrow would bring, he knew one truth: a child had chosen him, and together they would face whatever waited in the stars.